missed the first one, you can just pick it up again and just ask me. Today's class is sponsored by Alice Miller in honor of the second yahrzeit of her father, Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim. And it's kind of a great story. Alice's father is the perfect honoree for this particular class because at the age of 70, he first began studying Daf Yomi. And he managed to study the full 3 rounds of the Daf, which is a really rigorous class and a rigorous program and good motivation for all of us. Anybody who wants to sponsor, please call me, contact me, email me.
Thank you, Ellen. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Ruchot Habaot. Of course, thank you to the sisterhood for putting this together. Thank you to today's sponsor, all the sponsors.
Something's
Just
wrong here.
a little bit of housekeeping. Next week, we will not be meeting because Nidal and I will be in California celebrating the first birthday of one of our grandchildren. And it's in Hanukkah, and they need us to come out there and cook the latkes.
We are. I went to New Jersey to cook the turkey. Now, I'm not kidding, and now I will have to go and make it.
Right, and also 2 weeks from now, our class will be meeting in the shul because there'll be lunch and learn. I guess you said that lunch and learn in here, right? So this will be used to set up a lunch and learn. We'll be meeting in the shul. And so I don't forget later, I want to make sure we wish everybody a happy Hanukkah. Starts tomorrow. Okay, so first of all, Gloria asked me a question the other night. There was an event in the shul, and she asked me a question, and I said I'm going to give the answer to such a good question in the shul. So I need Gloria and I need Marlene to come up for 1 second. I have props for you. Marlene, come on. Don't be shy. I just want to... You, Marlene.
You get the cute one.
I think it's pretty cute.
Can I keep them?
Well, we'll see. So here was Gloria's question. Gloria's question is that we said that if a shomer, which is translated as a bailey or a watcher, a guarder of an item for someone else, is not able to return it. Why? Because in the case of Ellen and Deborah, it was the Amazon package which disappeared, and most likely it was a porch pirate that stole it, but in the meantime it couldn't be produced, and the question is what happens? And the answer is that if, here we have Gloria. If Gloria asks Geula to watch her bull for her, and because Gloria's going to be away for a few weeks, Geula has the bull to watch. Now she comes back and the bull is gone. Geula is not able to produce it for Gloria, so Geula has the choice. She can either pay for it, or she can swear that she was not negligent and she didn't take it for herself. So then Gloria asked me the question, well, what happens if at the time that bull, or it could be any item, is in the property or the ownership or the domain of the thief, and it earns money? So there are a lot of different ways that a bull can earn money, but let's say it's an ox pulling a plow, right? So the thief rents out that ox to a farmer to pull the plow. He earns money with it. Who gets that money? Once the thief is caught, okay? So that's one. So Gloria, you can sit down and you know, you're gonna have to lend it out right away. So then, but to make the question a little more complicated, is suppose Marlene's lamb grows fleece on its back. So now, by the time the thief is caught and the lamb is brought back, that lamb is worth more money than it was at the time that it was stolen, right? Because you have wool. So we have two issues here, and it's two versions, basically the same question. In one case, there were earnings. In the other case, both cases, there's money been produced. One case, it's been produced by renting out the bull. In the other case, by the sheep just growing the fleece on its back. So our question to decide is, are they different? And then what happens to that earning? And we'll get to it in a little while. Okay, so Molly, thank you. You can go back to your seat now. You can take it with you because you're gonna have to lend it out right away. In fact, you can both choose somebody to lend it to while we're getting started. Okay. So, first of all, we need to establish some rules in terms of what is a shomer, what types of shomer there are, right? And what is the responsibility. So, if I have one case where I ask Pamela to, I don't know, to watch my car, right? We're gonna be away. We're going to Israel. Hope we're gonna find a way. We're looking for actually a voluntary opportunity in Israel. So if we'll be away for 3 or 4 weeks, I don't want to leave the car sitting there, right? Because they say these new cars are so complicated if you don't start them. So Pam agrees that she's going to start the car for me, but she's my friend. But she's doing it as a favor to me. I'm not paying her for it, right? So how much responsibility does she have to return that car to me? At the same time, let's say that Cindy wants to borrow, I don't know, I have a pack and play. And I know that Cindy, that Stuart's in charge of Stuart is in charge of the gemach for children, and we have an extra pack and play. And Cindy has a child coming to visit, and she has to borrow my pack and play. So now, does Cindy have the same level of responsibility as Pamela, right? Cindy is getting the benefit, she's getting use of it. Pam is just watching it for me, right? So they are two different types of shomer. So you have, the first one is called, and my handwriting in Hebrew is no better than my handwriting in English. So you have the shomer chinam. What does chinam mean? Free, right? So that means Pam is not getting paid to start my car, okay? Then you have a sachar and a socher, and they're quite similar. Sachar means I am paid to watch it. So if I ask Leah to watch, I don't know, my computer, whatever it might be, but I'm going to pay her for it. So she is a sachar. Or let's say that Nancy asks that she could rent, I don't know, our Mindle's crock pot. She's going to have a guest for Shabbos. She needs an extra crock pot. She has to rent she is called a socher or socheret, right? She's renting. And then the last category is a shoel. So Cindy is a shoelet. She is borrowing. So in each case, there's a different level of responsibility. So a shomer chinam, let's say the item is stolen or lost, right? The shomer chinam for gneva, right? They're not responsible, right? But a shoel is. If the item is stolen, the shoel still has to return it, because the Gemara's expression is kol ha'ana shelo. He gets all the benefit, right? So the borrower, since I get no benefit from the fact, I mean, I feel good that Cindy's great grandchild is going to enjoy our pack and play, but she has all the benefits. So therefore, her level of supervision of that item is a lot more intense. She's got to really pay much more attention to it. Where the only thing that the chinam has to do is to just not be negligent. In other words, make sure that if it's something that should not be left outside, don't leave it outside, whatever it is. And then to swear, if need be, that you didn't take it for yourself. Okay, that's it. And then no matter what happens to it, you're not responsible. The shoel is the total opposite, and the sachar and the socher fall in between. And we're going to get to all of them. So I just wanted to let you know that there are different levels.
Question.
Sure.
The shomer who's watching the pack and play, who's not getting paid for it, he has some responsibility, like making sure it's not outdoors, doesn't get wet. If it breaks in their house, they're also responsible, I'm assuming.
So Cindy's a shoelet, right? She is a borrower. So a borrower, who gets the benefit of the whole transaction? The borrower. Therefore, her level of responsibility is a lot higher. The only reason that she would not need to pay if it was, if I come to her at the time that, Hindi, hi.
Absolutely.
What?
Are you speaking to me?
No, I'm talking about Cindy. You didn't borrow the pack and play. Cindy borrowed it. Cindy borrowed the pack and play, and what you brought up, Ruth, is very good, because the only reason that a borrower does not need to pay if they're not able to return it is what's called Mesa Mahmat Malacha. If for the intended purpose of the item it fails, it dies, you don't have to pay. Anything else, the shoel is obligated to pay. Mesa Mahmat Malacha. Want me to write it?
Yes.
Well, put next to the shoel, right. The shoel is Meta Mahmat Malacha.
You know, your mem looks like, I don't know what. Would you say where it says Mahmad, would you make a mem for me, please?
I need a scribe here. So Meta, Machamat, Malacha. They're all three words start with M. Machamat, Malacha. It died by virtue of doing its intended purpose. Right? So if I borrowed, if Gloria borrowed the ox and she used it to plow her cornfield, and the ox died, not because it was dehydrated, nothing, it was just a normal course of events, the ox dropped dead, she has a right to come back to me and say, listen, it's not my fault, and sorry about your ox. What?
Maybe you want to prove that it was a normal course of events.
We need a pathologist, right?
No, well, that's.
Yeah. All right, so I mean, we can put together a case so we'll all agree that it was through the normal use. But that's the only exclusion to the responsibility of the shoel to return that object in the condition that they got. Okay. So let's go on with the Gemara. So we talked about the fact that it has to be returned, and if it's not returned, that the shomer chinam we're talking about now, the unpaid shomer, unpaid watcher, the owner comes to ask for it back, the shomer can't produce it, and now the option to the shomer is that they can either return it, pay for it, or swear that they did not perform an act for which they would be responsible to pay. And in the case of shomer chinam, that act is I was negligent or I took it for myself. Okay, as long as the person can swear that did not take place, they don't need to pay. But some people are not inclined to swear. A lot of people don't want to swear. So if they don't want to swear, they have the option to pay. So now the question is, they paid for it, right? And the Mishnah says that nishba v'lo ratza l'shalem. And by the way, you have this. This is the Hebrew at Sigula. You have that. So if you're comfortable with that, you have that. It's exactly what I have up here, or you have the Hebrew English. So you got it right there.
Where are you starting from?
So I'm just reviewing for a second. Then I'm going to move on to we're right now in 191. You're in 191, Ellen? Okay. So I'm just reviewing 190 for a second. Then I want to get into 191. So the bottom line is that the Mishnah says who gets the fine, because if the thief is caught, the thief has to pay more than the value of what they stole, right? Generally speaking, what they pay is called kefel, double. So if the item was worth $1,000, they need to pay back $2,000. If it were an ox or a sheep, and the person slaughtered it or sold it, they pay 4 or 5 times the value. And what the Mishnah is telling us is that who gets paid that additional amount of money, and it's the Misha Hapikodon Etzlo. It's the person who has the object now, and you have it by virtue of the fact you paid for it. Okay. if it were the original owner, then because the shomer swore and did not have to pay, so then the kefel, the extra fine, would go to the original owner. If the shomer compensated the person who gave it to him, then the shomer gets it. Okay? Everybody's good? Okay. So the Gemara asks a question, and they say, Maskif law Rami Bar Chama. So Rami Bar Chama asks the following question: Ein adam makna davar shelo bola olam. Is a person permitted to sell or allowed to sell, able to sell an item which does not yet exist? Right? Can you sell something which does not exist? Right.
This is on page 190 on the English.
Right. We're going to just go a couple lines back and continue. So, my father was owned a bakery, and he used to buy flour in futures. And he would buy a railroad car of flour in advance of season because he locked in his price. But the question is, does the Gemara allow such a transaction? So the question is, Rami Rachama is asking us, but we know Ein Adam Makna Davar Shelo Bola Olam, that generally speaking, the majority opinion is you're not permitted to sell something which does not yet exist. So the question of the kefel, does that exist at this point? In other words, if Gloria asked Geula to watch her ox, right? And now Gloria comes to Geula to collect her ox, and Geula says, sorry, Gloria, it was stolen. I don't know what happened. I don't have the ox. And I was not negligent. It was in the pen with my other animals and everything else. And somehow or other, that ox is gone. I can't do anything for you. And now, if Geula takes a shvuah, right? Right. So the question is, if Gloria takes that shvuah, or let's say if Geula does not want to take the shvuah, Geula says, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not comfortable doing it. I'll just pay you the value of the ox. Now, what has Gloria sold in a certain sense to Geula? Sold her the ox, right? She owns the ox now. And, well, the ox is gone, but she's whatever rights that Gloria has in that ox now belong to Geula. Okay. Now, suppose the thief is found. We catch the thief, right?
You just said the ox died.
No, the ox didn't die. We don't know what. We don't know what happened to the ox. The ox is pretty healthy to me right now. It's pretty healthy, right? So whatever happened to the ox, Geula can't produce the ox, and she says, I don't know. Maybe it wandered off. Maybe it got stolen. I don't really know. And she is not. She doesn't want to swear. She pays Gloria for the ox. So now, whatever rights Gloria had in that ox, who owns those rights now? Geula. Not exactly, but that's the logical idea, and I'm gonna tell you what the Rambam thinks about it in a second. So now let's say that Sandy is out walking one day, and she sees somebody walking along, dragging an ox. It looks like Gloria's ox, right? So Sandy, she's a smart lady. She calls the police. She doesn't try to handle it herself. She calls the police, and sure enough, there's a brand on the back of that ox, and it says GG on the back there. And everybody knows that's Gloria Gordon's ox. It gets returned. However, who owns that ox now? Geula, right? So now Sandy's thief has to pay twice, right? So who gets that?
No.
Only if it was slaughtered or sold. But so we're not going to complicate it yet. We will, but not yet. Okay. So
Technically, Geula should get it. Yes, technically, because it's her ox.
except what we just said. We said Ein Adam Makna Davar Shelo Bola Olam. Because at the time At the time that Geula paid Gloria for the ox, did we know that Sandy would happen to be out on El Claire Ranch Road and see this person? We didn't know that. So therefore, that K-Feld, that extra payment, did it exist at this moment? No. So is it possible for Glory to sell Geula something which does not exist? Okay, so the majority opinion is you can't do that. So he says, and he makes this question even stronger because there is a minority opinion. Rebbe Meir says that you can sell something which does not exist, but only in certain qualified cases. He's afilu the Rebbe Meir, even according to Rebbe Meir, the Amar who says, Adam makne davar shelo bo la'olam. You can sell something which does not exist. And I'll give you a hint because my father did it, right? He bought something which he had a very good reason to assume was going to be there, right? He had been dealing with the miller for many years. The miller had farmers that they had contracts for farmers to produce the wheat for them. My father had a very high level of confidence that that contract was going to be fulfilled, right? Because the Rebbe Meir says, Kigon peros dekel, such as the fruit of dekel, a palm tree, dates, right? So, you know, if you have palm trees and they produce dates year after year, you have a pretty good, you can have a pretty good assumption that those dates are going to be there. So that's the type of thing that Rebbe Meir, yes, Cindy.
Yes, I just wondered, with the markets the way they are now, I mean, everything, all the virtual, digital, all the content, I'm sure there's I would assume there's been discussions, writings, whatever, about, all this kind of data, it's a completely different thing than an ox or a lamb or something like that. So you're buying, you're buying information that maybe hasn't yet not been created, or or a website that hasn't yet been created. So, I mean, do you know of anybody who's started to write or come out with
Well, the principle, the basic principle remains, right? One, the majority opinion is you are not permitted to sell, not able to sell an item which does not exist. The minority opinion says that when you have a good reason to believe that it's going to be happening, then you can do it, right? And that could apply to anything at all, whether it's in 2023 or in the 10th century. It's still the same. Leah, did you want to ask a question? Oh. Okay, now you do.
Yeah, I was going to ask something I think akin to what she did. In today's world, we have what we call intellectual properties, and they are oftentimes not tangible. They're not a barrel of soybeans, or they're not a bunch of silver that are commodities.
Right.
So if you have an intellectual property of something you created that may have may have value down the long haul, worth millions of dollars, does that intellectual property, which is not tangible,
Right.
does that apply, can you apply these principles to that?
Well, what is it? It's property. Right? It's property. If it's a property, we made our living selling life insurance, which is basically, it's sort of maybe in some cases the most tangible, but in general it's intangible, right? But
It's a promise, and a few sheets of paper. So what is it? You can't hold it in your hand, but it's an agreement, it's property, and it becomes the property of the person who paid money for it and continues to pay. As long as they continue to pay, they continue to own this non-tangible property that will result in a payment of money down the road. It's property.
I feel like the Gemara is too smart to be so literal. It wouldn't really, I think for a long time something could be valuable without being physical. I don't think we just invented that in the 21st century. What do we?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you pay somebody to perform a service for you,
Right.
and, right?
So
So
what's the
sure,
difference?
yeah. I mean, you could hire a teacher, for example, to give you to give your kid bar mitzvah lessons, and he's just having his first birthday right now. but I want to make sure that I get that teacher, right? So there you go. Ellen, did you want?
Well, if the ox disappears, somebody watching the ox, it disappears.
Right.
And, she doesn't want to take an oath, so she pays twice.
Well, she doesn't pay twice. She pays for what she was watching.
She pays the value of it, even if she doesn't take an oath? Or I thought if she doesn't take an oath, she pays double.
No, what happens is that if Geula says, listen, I didn't do anything that I should not have done, but my mother always told me, you know, don't swear, and I'm not going to swear. So Geula has the option. She doesn't have to swear. She has to pay Gloria the value of the ox one time. Where the double comes in is if Sandy caught the thief, right? And the ox happens to be alive, and it's in the possession of the thief, not someone they sold it to. So not to complicate it. So then there's a double, and then who gets the double? Does Geula get it or does Gloria get it? Okay. And our Mishnah seems to be saying Geula should get it, right?
Can
Because
I complicate the issue?
Pardon?
Can I complicate the issue?
Absolutely.
All right, so this is the issue. You have my ox. Actually, it's not an ox, you have my bull. I don't want an ox. My bull. And I'm coming back in a week. But I have already beforehand, before I left, I've contracted with a farm to use my bull, because it's a prize bull, to be a breeding animal. And when that bull is stolen, oh my gosh, I've lost that contract. What happens then?
Okay, you get a question.
It's a money-making animal.
Right. Okay. Are you able to fulfill the contract?
Well, I won't be, I don't have the bull.
You can, right? So the farmer.
Yes.
What?
But I was relying upon that to feed my children.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking more so when the thief is caught.
Right.
I'm not talking about the person who's the shomer necessarily, as when the thief
The
is
thief is
caught,
caught.
and then originally the couple goes to the shomer.
Right.
Would that still happen?
Would that contract go to the shomer or would the
Or the
well, when did you enter into the contract?
I entered the contract prior to giving the bull to the
To Geula,
shomer.
right? So whatever, because now that bull, people could syndicate that bull. It could be worth a lot of money, right? Because of the fact that you've demonstrated it is a successful breeder, right? But that all happened before Geula got it. So that the value of the ox or bull did not change during the period of time that Geula had it, right? All that happened during the time that she was watching, it got stolen. Okay, and now as far as the contract with the dairy farmer or whoever it is that wants to use your bull, that's a deal between you and them. It has nothing to do with Geula. Has nothing to do with the thief really. If you get it back, you can fulfill the contract. Why not? If you can't get it back, then the farmer can say, listen, don't mix me in to your personal issues. Either you can fulfill the contract or you return me my money, right? Because you're not able to provide the service. Okay. So now here we go. So Rabbi Meir says you can sell something which does not exist. That's such as the fruit of a palm tree, because it's going to be coming. We know it. Abba Hacha, but here, in our case, where Gloria's ox is gone, so mi yemar de mignava, do we know that it will be stolen? At the time that Gloria entrusted Geula with the ox, did Gloria or Geula have in mind that ox is going to be stolen? No. Right? So who says it's going to be stolen? V'im tintzulomar de mignava, and if you're going to say it might be stolen, right? Mi yemar de mishtachat ganav. How do we know that Sandy is going to find the thief? Right? We don't. So we don't know it's going to be stolen. B, we don't know if the thief will be found. Right? V'imishtakaf ganav, and if the ganav is found, Mi Amar de Mishalem. How do we know that if the thief is found, that he's going to have to pay the kefil? Why? Because kefil is imposed when the thief is caught. But suppose when Sandy saw that person walking along El Claire Ranch Road leading that bull along the road, it's not an ox now, it's a bull. What she didn't know was that he had already called the police and said, I feel bad, this terrible thing that I did, I stole the ox, I want to return it to the owner. So, did the thief get caught? Not really. Sandy, you were a good citizen, you reported it. But the thief was already on his way to bring that ox back to Geula, because he knew that Geula had it last. And therefore, the extra fine, the kefil, Harry, is not imposed on him. Because he is what's called a moda b'knas potter. Somebody who admits to an offense which would incur a fine. If he admits to it, he is free from paying the fine. Okay, got that?
Like, he was on the way to return the ox to the Geula, I say.
To Geula, right.
Well, what if he gets caught and he wasn't returning and he's very sorry about it, he still has to pay it.
Right. When Sandy saw him, she was a little nervous because here she sees somebody walking along. She knows she knows the story because she's friends with Geula and Gloria, and she knows that this whole incident took place, and she doesn't want to confront the thief, right? She called the police, assuming that it was stolen, that it was stolen, but she didn't know that the thief was on his way to return because he had already called up and basically admitted to his crime. Okay, so the Gemara says, do we know at the time that Gloria and Geula made their transaction, did we know that the ox was going to be stolen? If we knew this ox was going to be stolen, did we know it was going to be the thief will be found? And if the thief was found, did we know that he's got caught, not that he didn't admit on his own? So all of these unknown factors, right? So Dilma Mode Mafater, Umiftar. But maybe the Sandy's thief had already admitted that he stole it, and now he is exempt from paying that additional amount. Okay, so there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables. Comes along Rava, Amar Rava. He says, Naasek Omer Lo Lefeshedigane V'Tirtze V'Teshalmeni Hare Parasi Kinuyavach. So Rava says this exchange between Gloria and Geula implied in their transaction was it's as if Gloria said to Geula, if this prize bull is stolen and you want to pay me for its value, because I know you, Geula, you don't like the idea of swearing, your ox is therefore, in that case, yours from when? Right now, retroactive.
Okay, say that last part again, that ox
Is Geula's retroactive to the time that Gloria handed it to her. Okay, what's an example? Unfortunately, it's an example that could be taking place today. The soldier goes off to war, and he doesn't want to take a chance that his wife could be an aguna, right? So what does he do? He divorces her on a tanai, right? He divorces her on a condition, and the condition could take many different forms. He could say, if you do not hear from me within, I don't know, take a period of time, we are divorced retroactively to today. Okay. I mean, it's a real thing, and that's just what happens. If the soldier does not return within that agreed upon time, his wife is considered to be divorced from the moment that he left. Okay, so let's say that what Rava is telling us is that implied in the exchange between Gloria and Geula was that idea that if it turned out that the bull was stolen, Geula did not want to swear did not want to swear, she paid for it. From today, Geula is the owner of that. And in that case, does the question about the kefel come into play now? No. Ava, right? Why not?
Because Geula owns it.
Because Geula owns it. She's owned it all along. And it's therefore, because in a way, what is Gloria?
She bought this bowl.
It's as if you bought it. It's as if you bought it. Exactly right. And what did you buy? So to get to what Leah brought up is you bought all the rights to it. Not only did you buy the animal, you bought the rights. Whatever rights and privileges come along with owning that ox, you own them now.
I agree.
Right? Retroactively to the moment that the exchange took place. Okay? That's Rava's opinion. But we're not finished yet. Ruth? You're good? Everybody's with me so far? Okay. Okay. The Shalmeni Hare Parasi Kinuyo Lach Me'akshav. Akshav means now, right now. Okay?
From now.
Well, wait a second. Maskif Lo Rav Zera. So Rav Zera asks, well, what about Marlene? We thought we forgot about you, right? Maskif Lo Rav Zera. So what about Marlene? Marlene has this lamb, and you gave it to Ava to watch for you. Okay? And during and through no fault of Ava's, the lamb was stolen. 6 months later, when it's got a full head of hair on it, right? Who found it this time? Debbie found it. Deborah found it. Okay. Deborah caught. The kids were singing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and what shows up? But Marlene's lamb, which had been entrusted to Ava, Deborah finds it. The thief is caught, and the lamb is returned. Who gets the growth? Right? Because in Gloria's case, the bull was used. Because just the same way as Gloria had a contract with the farmer, the thief did the same thing. Maybe not that farmer, because he expected to see you bring in the ox, but the bull, but it was some other farmer, and the thief earned money for breeding that bull. Okay, so that's one type of profit that can be made from an animal. One is work that was done with the animal, right? That's what you kept in your case. And in your case, Marlene, it was just a natural growth, right? The hair grew. Are they the same? Are they different? What do you think?
It depends how much money you are going to make an income from the animal.
Why would that matter?
Well, that would be the only difference.
There is a product, but in both cases, here it got to be to the other farm, and he made more bulls, and here there was this wool. So both of them have like a product to use.
Both have a
To
product
make
to
money.
use, right? They both are making money. Alice.
Well, you had said that if Gloria gave it to her, it was hers as of that moment. So at the moment that Marlene gave it to Ava, it did not have the wool. Now that it has the wool, maybe Marlene gets the benefit of that extra wool, because that's not the sheep she gave to Ava to watch.
Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says about it. So Rav Zera says, okay, Rava, you make a lot of sense, but hang on a second. We have a principle that we know that the gizosel uvladosel. Gizos are the shearings, and vlados are the offspring. So he says, Rava, if the sheep belongs to Ava retroactively to the time that Marlene gave it to her, does she get to keep the wool also? Because the thief returns it now, right? Ava paid Marlene because Ava didn't want to swear either. Who gets the wool when that lamb is shorn?
Ava, it should be Ava.
Well, but the Gemara says, so he says, so Rav Zera says, if so, if Rava's construction works, that the transfer of ownership, not just the ability to watch it, requirement, it's the transfer of ownership has happened retroactive to the moment that they made their relationship, then afilu v'loseh uv'ladoseh nami. Even, that means therefore, so too, we have to include the gizos, which is the shearings, the wool, and the vlados. If that lamb grew up and had another lamb, right, became a sheep, had another lamb, so that lamb should also be the owner, the property of the original owner. Well, how do we know that? Because it says, he's alama tanya. Why do we learn in a brisa? And there are, remember last week we talked about Mishnah and Gemara. The Mishnah was written somewhere around between 50 and 200, 50 before the Common Era, 200 after. It was written in Hebrew, written in Israel. It's authoritative. But there were statements of the Tanaim, the people who wrote the Mishnah called Tanaim. There were statements of theirs which didn't make it into the Mishnah. They were called Baraisa. Baraisa means outside. But they were authoritative too, because they were the statements of the Tanaim. So we have a Baraisa here, which it's not in our Mishnah, but they knew that this was written, and it says, Chutz migizoseh v'ladoseh, that what Ava gets is whatever is earned by this lamb, except for those things which come from the body of the lamb itself, which happen automatically by themselves. There's no human agency necessary to make that world grow. Whereas in Gloria's case, there certainly was human agency. I mean, you have to get these animals together. You know, you have to do it in I don't have to describe it to you guys. but so that people are involved, right? Whereas to grow the hair, people are not involved. And I see it's 12 o'clock, and we'll continue with this.
But someone said they were confused,
Why
so
would that make a difference? It's not so confusing.
Maybe
Why does it make a difference whether it's people involved, whether it's going on so?
We're going to find out. But that's the distinction. By the way, that is the distinction, that certain types of profits or earnings are from the animal itself, in its own body, and certain ones are done because people did certain things with that animal.
that's right.
Okay.
Oh.
You can stop the camera.